we've made it to number 17, which is, in my opinion, easily the hardest one on the review because it's in a little different form. So we got a park ranger who's hiking up a 4-mile trail at a rate that is 2 miles an hour slower than his normal walking rate. And then he hiked down the same trail at a rate that is 1 mile an hour faster than his normal walking rate. Okay? If the whole trip took 3 hours, what's the park ranger's normal walking rate? Okay, what is the park ranger's normal walking rate? Well, we don't know it right now, so that's going to be our variable. That's going to be x in this situation. Okay, and then we've got to keep in mind that rate equals distance divided by time. We know that we've got a 4-mile trail, so that's our distance, v. But what we don't know is the amount of time either way, there or back. We don't have any way to denote that. We'd have to do 2 different variables for those times. So let's rearrange this equation. I'm going to multiply by t on both sides. So time times the rate equals the distance. And then I'm going to divide by r. And I get that the time it takes you is equal to your distance divided by your rate. Okay? So, first part of the trip. The distance that the park ranger covers is 4 miles. And how fast is he going? What his rate? We're talking about miles per hour here. So it says that his rate is 2 miles an hour slower than his normal walking rate. So let's say his normal walking rate is x. If it was 10 miles an hour, it would be 2 miles an hour slower than that. 10 minus 2. So whatever his rate is, minus 2 is his rate on his way up the trail. Then when he hikes down the trail, okay, so I guess let's talk about that 4 over x minus 2. When you divide that out, you'll get a time in hours that it took him to hike the first 4 miles of the trail. Okay? And then the whole trip took him longer than that, though, right? We're going to add another portion of the trip, the way down the trail. Again, he's covering 4 hours. This time he has a different rate, 1 mile an hour faster. So his speed, walking speed, plus 1. It's going downhill, helping him out a little bit. So we have a distance divided by a rate, which is a time, plus another distance divided by a rate, which is equal to a time. So his time up the trail plus his time down the trail equals his total time on the trail, which we know to be 3 hours. Okay? So this one's a little tougher, I think, to figure out. So let's go through and multiply by this. Multiply through by x minus 2. Get rid of that one. We get 4 plus 4x minus 8 over x plus 1 equals 3x minus 6. And now let's multiply through by that other denominator. We'll have no more denominators. X plus 1, and x plus 1. Okay, this one and this one will divide out, leaving us with 4x plus 4 plus 4x minus 8 equals, okay, and then I'll point out that that whole thing is being multiplied by x plus 1. So 3x minus 6 times x plus 1. Let's combine some like terms over here. We'll get 8x minus 4 equals 3x squared plus 3x minus 6x minus 6. Okay, we want to put everything all on one side. So that'll give us 3x squared minus 11x 6 plus 1 minus 2, and that's all equal to 0. Okay, so at that point you can do the quadratic formula if you want, or I think probably the easiest way to do it is to graph this. So let me pull up my graphing calculator. A little too big there. Just move it over. Okay, so now I'm going to do 3x squared minus 11x minus 2 and graph that. Okay, so we see it crosses through in two places. All right, if you look at the one on the left here, that crosses through in the negative x's. Okay, so that would be a negative speed. We don't want that. Okay, we want the other 0. So second trace 2, and we want to go enter, go to the right side of that 0. I don't know. Hit enter 2 more times. We get x equals 3.84. X equals 3.84, and that's in miles per hour. So that's his normal walking rate. Okay. But let's point out right now, it's not his rate that he walked either part of the trail. So at no time was he walking 3.84 miles per hour. He was always walking a little bit different pace. So using your answer, find out how long the park ranger spent hiking up the trail and how long they were hiking down the trail. So up, time equals distance divided by rate. So the 4 miles, and then his rate was 3.84 minus 2. 3.84 minus 2. So 2 miles an hour slower than his normal walking rate. Okay, so 3.84 minus 2 is 1.84. So on the way up, it took him 2.17 hours. Time up. Okay. And then the time on the way down is equal to his distance divided by his rate. Again, it was 4 miles, and this time it was a mile an hour faster than that walking rate, so it's 4.4 or 4.84, which gets you 0.83 hours. And what should be the case is that if we add up those two times, it should get us the 3 hours total that it took. So because he's walking slower on the way up the trail, 2.17 hours, on the way down the trail, 0.83 hours, for a total of 3 hours.